As a first step, start your Vienna Ensemble Pro servers on the computers you want to use Vienna Ensemble Pro on. This can be directly on your master computer or on any networked computer. Right now I will start up both the Vienna Ensemble Pro 32 and 64-bit versions on my master computer and on my networked computer, which I am connected to via screen sharing. By running the 32-bit and 64-bit servers simultaneously, I can now access all plugins that are only available in 32-bit versions. And all 64-bit plugins will be available in my 64-bit server. The big advantage of 64-bit software, you can load as much RAM as you have physically available in your computer, whereas the RAM limit in a 32-bit environment is around 3 GB. Alright, so my Vienna Ensemble Pro servers are now up and running. The preferences of each server can be set individually. These settings can help to optimize the performance of your system, for example by optimizing the number of used audio outputs for each instance or experimenting with the assigned threads for each instance. Remember that the number of audio and MIDI ports can influence the startup time and performance of Vienna Ensemble Pro. Now insert Vienna Ensemble Pro as a multi-timbral plugin in your sequencer. If you are not sure how to do this, please check the chapter Routing in your Vienna Ensemble Pro manual to find out how this works with your specific sequencer. In Logic Pro X, you should make sure that multi-timbral is checked so that 16 MIDI channels will open right away. If you want multiple audio returns available, make sure to choose the Vienna Ensemble Pro multi-output option. Again, this is handled differently in every sequencer, and it's documented in the routing chapter of your Vienna Ensemble Pro manual. The Vienna Ensemble Pro plugin takes care of the connection to the Vienna Ensemble Pro servers. Click Connect and you will see all available Vienna Ensemble Pro servers, 32-bit and 64-bit servers on both the master computer, the local host, and the networked computer with the assigned IP address. Choose one of them and the connection is established. One instance of Vienna Ensemble Pro is now opening on the corresponding computer, in this case on my networked computer. More instances will be added when you connect multiple Vienna Ensemble Pro plugins with your networked computers, and you will see that they are connected when the plug sign is showing in white. There are two further icons available with each instance: Preserve and Decouple, which I will explain in a separate video. Now, insert any plugin and assign the MIDI port and MIDI channel. There are quite some useful options in the Vienna Ensemble Pro preferences, one of which lets you decide which should be the default MIDI channel when you insert a plugin. If you are mainly working with monotimbral plugins like Vienna Instruments, one will be a good choice. If you are working with multitimbral plugins like Contact or Omnisphere, all will be more convenient, so that you can receive MIDI data on multiple channels. Most multitimbral plugins also offer multiple audio outputs, which can be routed separately in Vienna Ensemble Pro. To have these outputs available in the mixer, click on the plus button in the instrument channel, and these additional outputs will appear as separate channels. Using the audio outputs of Vienna Ensemble Pro, you can route an audio signal internally, for example to certain buses, or back to your sequencer. Again, each sequencer is different in this regard, and you'll find more information in your Vienna Ensemble Pro manual. You can also process audio signals from your sequencer. Insert an audio input plugin in the audio track of your sequencer and assign this plugin to the already established Vienna Ensemble Pro connection. If you are not connected to a Vienna Ensemble Pro server yet, you also cannot send any audio signals. In Logic Pro, you'll need to insert an I/O plugin on each input plugin, event input and audio input, and on the Vienna Ensemble Pro plugin as well, to guarantee full functionality in Logic. Bypassing the I/O plugin will force the audio track into live mode. With all other sequences, this extra step is not necessary. You can use the audio and event input plugins without additional plugins. When sending audio signals from your sequencer to Vienna Ensemble Pro, you'll pick up this signal from the available inputs. It depends on the settings in your preferences how many of these audio channels you have available. Last but not least, connecting to a Vienna Ensemble Pro server usually means that you are introducing some latency due to the extra networking, and this is also true for the local host on one machine. Such latency is automatically compensated for by any sequencer that supports latency compensation, so the latency settings in the Vienna Ensemble Pro plugin only affect your live performance. The default setting is 2 buffers, which means that when playing any notes live, 2 buffers will be added on top of the latency of your sound card. So if your sound card is set to 256 samples, 2 times 256 samples latency will be added. All in all, that's 3 times 256 samples, which makes 768 samples latency. The actual latency of the Vienna Ensemble Pro plugin is displayed in the lower right corner, and it can depend on many factors, such as using latency-inducing plugins in the connected instance. In simple words, latency is the time the Vienna Ensemble Pro plugin needs to process your MIDI and audio input into audio output. So the rule for Vienna Ensemble Pro is, if you don't want to add any latency to the latency of your sound card, set the network latency for the instance you are recording with to none. But remember that no added latency also means more workload for your CPU, so it will be wise to set the latency to a higher value once you have finished the recording. Especially when mixing or fine-tuning huge scores, you will find the 4-buffer setting very helpful.